last year I did a walkthrough with Johnny because I was kind of proud of these things, and everything I went along and I pointed out, now this was a risk management, and we fixed this, and we did that. Anyway, I must have done a pretty good job of telling him because that's why I'm here. But anyway, we did have a few problems at our fairgrounds, and I used to be the recorder clerk. I was a recorder clerk for 16 years, and then I decided to run as a county commissioner, and I was that for 3 years. And during that time, well, just last year was the first year I was over the fair. And any of you that don't know Jan Rhodes, you need to get to know her. She is amazing. She can work and manage at the same time, and that's just so unique. But we did a lot last year, and I'll tell you more about it. For years, I sat as a recorder clerk and listened to the county commissioners fight about where to put a building. And we knew we had risk management problems, but they couldn't figure out what building to do and where to put it. And anyway, they just went on and on. So we have what we call the CIP committee, and I hope that none of you have to have that in your county, but these are citizen groups that they form to help you know, on your big projects. And they said, well, what I think they need to do is do a feasibility study. I'm not the greatest fan of a feasibility study, but we spent $55,000 on a feasibility study, and they called some folks in to help them review this thing, but they left something out. Now, one of the county commissioners served on the CIP board. The other two were left right out of them. And I was one that was left right out of them. When I got that plan, I called Jan. She'll never forget it because we were on the phone for about 2 hours, and I said, this plan, it's like gospel, and if you want to do something, you're not going to be able to do this. How are we going to do this? And the plan was $55,000, and to implement the plan that they come up with was $29 million. Suddenly, bonding companies were calling me, and I thought, are you kidding? I am not bonding on the fairgrounds. This is just crazy. And what they did is, I mean, we're talking in Tremont, Utah, and we don't even have the infrastructure to do this Disneyland project that they wanted, but they wanted to knock down all these buildings except for our auction barn. And our auction barn is probably the best auction barn in the state, but it was now going to be Jan's maintenance building. And I thought, are you kidding? And so I first started calling around to the fair board people because I saw in this nice little book they put together. It had all these fair board people who had endorsed it. So the first person I called, I said, well, you and your wife are on this book, and I see this first building is clear over here, and our auction barn is clear here, because, you know, we had to demolish these in phases. And I said, how are we going to walk those cows over to here? I said, is that going to be a problem? I noticed you endorsed it. He said, what? He hadn't even seen it, and his name was on it. So then I started going around to some of the other fair board people, and they said, oh, no, this won't work. We can't have this. And so I remember getting this little booklet, and it was about the first part of June, and I remember the date was, you are to approve this on the 18th of June. And I thought, I just can't do this. So I talked to my other commissioner. I said, I can't do this. We can't bond. We can't do this. Anyway, we did it, and we were in trouble at that point because this little group, the citizen group, had recommended this is what we needed to do, and they sent the missionaries to us one by one who could come and convert us on how we should do this project, and I still didn't go for it, and I just couldn't. I'm conservative, and I knew we needed some things fixed, but we didn't have that kind of money. So with that, the next year, the guy that was the commissioner that was over that, he didn't get reelected, and they put me over the county fair, and I thought, well, okay, here's my opportunity. So what I did is, I think if you're going to do projects, the first thing you need to get is buy-in. Well, maybe I need to show a couple of pictures here first. Okay, this is a picture of our fairgrounds and how it looked at fair time. And what year was this? 2012, 2011? Maybe 10 or 11. Anyway, this is how it looked during fair time. And So what we had was we had a problem. The problem was this building right here, and I'll show you more about this building. It was made of brick, and it didn't have any rebar in it, and it had mold, and it had asbestos. It was going to fall down. So we knew we needed to replace that. It was just a risk management problem, waiting for a windstorm. And then this building right here was our steer barn, and we had to walk the steers over to our auction barn, which was right here. And I know that my daughter, hers almost got loose, and so we got became statistics, but we weren't the only one. There were a lot of them, and a lot of steers got loose out here and also into the crowds. It was really a fun time. So anyway, that was another risk management problem that we had. So we identified these two buildings, and because these commissioners have fought for all these years, we've been saving money. So I thought, I know we got this. And people couldn't decide if we should do this building or this building. And I said, Jan, guess what? We're going to do both these buildings. And I said, we're going to put our plan together, and I think we spent $20 on our plan versus the $55,000. And we first had to go to Tremont City because this is owned by Tremont City, and maybe the next one shows, yeah, it shows that this land right here was owned by Tremont, and so we had to do an exchange out to here to get this land. So that's the first thing we did. We went to Tremont City, and we got that land exchange done. And then we went back to our fair board, and we showed them our plans, like they were similar to this, told them our ideas. We got their buy-in. Buy-in is so important. And not only did we get their buy-in, but we got their buy-in in writing, so we could take it to our other committees. So our funding came from our restaurant tab, so we had to go to our tab board and asked them, showed them the plans, and told them that the fair board people were all on board. And so we got their buy-in, and then after that, then we went back to the CIP committee, who still weren't happy with me. I mean, they could have tarred and feathered me. And they wanted to the whole time, and they weren't very nice to Jan when she'd come, and they weren't very nice to our building person. It was something that I created, but that's okay. We got through it, and we got the money. Now, we tore this building down when, Jan?
Probably the end of April, and our fair's in August.
So everyone said, you can't do this, and I said, oh, I think I can. So I got on the phone with some engineers and some people that work for Newport, and I said, okay, help me project this out. Can I do it? And they said, you can. And we did. We got both these buildings done a day before. I don't think I'm kidding or not. This is a picture of the Home and Fine Arts building. This is how it looked. You can see it's historic. It's a neat old building, but it had huge problems. This was one of the problems. This is the brick, and it was awful. And there was air conditioning, and if you stood right here, you can see these holes in that. You could feel that air conditioning. It's just like you're inside the building in the summertime. It was wonderful. And inside, you can see the cracks in the wall. And that's just up there. Once we removed, we didn't know about the cracks down below. Once we took out all the displays and that, there was cracks all up and down the walls. I mean, you could just look right outside and see the sunlight. It was awful. I can't remember. Did we bring you up to show you that, or was it after? I can't remember when you got there. Yeah, you would have closed this down immediately. We didn't try not to tell him everything. And you see these floors are really uneven, and then they added onto this building, and so up that way it just sloped up. And so you really couldn't use it for multi-use. You could only use it for the fair. And the ceiling tiles, the roof's leaked. And so we would have to replace most of these ceiling tiles every year. And I'll show you the roof in a minute. Here's what the fair looked like. We have a great fair in Buxoda County. And we'd invite you there. Jan is incredible at putting fairs together. Here's the buildings, okay? So we had two buildings that were connected. This is our small animal barn, and this was the building that had the huge problems. But because they were connected, they said, you know, you're better tearing them down. And at the same time, you see all this junk and it ran onto this. We got rid of all the overhead. And can you see right here, this drainage problems? It was always like this. So while we were doing it, we took care of the drainage problems in the overhead. And this next one, this is the one I love. I love this picture. This is the roofs. You can see there was 3 different roofs. And see how they were? They were always leaking. It was a mess. And you know, and look at the power. It was great. It was pretty great. Anyway, so we took care of that. And here's the building completed. This is the Fine Arts building right here. And that was the day, I don't know, a couple of days before the fair. I'm not sure if everything was done inside, but we got this nice picture. Here's a picture. The fair started Tuesday. We did this grand opening on Monday. And
While they were finishing the petitions in the back.
yeah, well, you know, and we didn't get mirrors up in the restrooms, and the ladies were going, oh, can you believe they didn't have mirrors? And I thought, if you'd been here yesterday, we didn't even have petitions. You know, you think that was bad. So anyway, here we are, and we were excited. This is Jan. She worked so hard, but these guys, when I told them that we were going to roll with these buildings, I mean, the staff come up to me and they go, all around, we can't. And I said, yeah, we can, and we are, and we're rolling. And we didn't look back. So we're not looking back, we're looking forward. We're going to keep doing it. This is Representative Menlove. I don't know if you know her. And Senator Nixon right over here. Everybody was very, very supportive. And in some of our funding, just so you know, if you're trying to do projects, we went to the public sectors. Now, Nucor helped us a lot with these buildings, Nucor Steel and Volcraft, and gave us really sizable in-kind donations as well as cash. And we went to a lot of other folks. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is about the day before the fair, I think, as we were trying to put things back together, and we made it. This is the fair, and as you can see, that everything fit in there, and it's wonderful. It's 2-story, and up here this year we're putting in bleachers, and we did temporary. We got your okay for the temporary. We didn't have railing, so we had to do some temporary stuff for that. These are our community booths right here. You can see this is the kids' artwork right here. We have flowers and more kids' projects there. That's another view, and some of that's our photography. Okay, and another thing that we did, while we're on this picture right here, is the entranceways. Now, the entranceway was not ADA compliant. I mean, nothing that we had worked. And so we did this about a week before. Jan went out one day, and we had all this tore up out here, and all of this was down here, and she goes, well, we're not going to make it. What we did, we put this back, and also we brought in somebody, and we planted in these boxes here, and it turned out, but now it's all ADA compliant. This was really fun. For years, I complained about this. I said, you know, this is great. We have the vendors come, and they have to take the grate off, and then here's what they plugged into, okay? And so when it rained, which it always does during fair time, you know, then this would fill up with water. And it was like really safe, and then there wasn't even enough electricity. And anyway, we brought some of the remains. We kept these because if you smell them, they still smell like burnt. And here was the wiring. This is what we were dealing with. I never showed you this. Anyway, that's what we were dealing with. And I don't know why the commissioners before me wouldn't deal with it, but to me it's like a